It has been a week, and I don't know if you can see it yet or not, but the little sorghum plants, it's been exactly 7 days this morning, and they are coming up. You can see them in rows. And I will post a card up on top about where the sorghum was last year, so you can see the differences and how fast it grew. So this is the picture from up top. Here's the little plants down at the ground, and they are, like this one, it just came up. So they are still coming up. And they're pretty thick. My son and husband had a debate last night on whether or not we double planted last year because they're coming up so thick this year. Last year we did double plant. This year we did not double plant, but they're still pretty thick. And of course the grass and weeds is coming up just as fast as they are. But he went back and watched the video that I just posted the card on, and it showed that we did double plant it last year and we're just single planting it this year. It's still too close together, but we've got to weed it anyway, so we'll just take out some of the extra plants. I'd rather get them up than not be there at all. We have tried transplanting them when there was naked spots and it just didn't work. So it looks like we got a wonderful stand, and this is 7 days, 1 week checkup. Well, you saw the sweet potato bed last week and how good it was going. And so this is part of the devastation of what's happened. You will see some green in here, but it's weeds where the it's been raining. But you can see that the goats got up in here and ate up all the tops. All the tops of this type are gone. The good thing is there's plenty there still to get slips out of. They didn't touch the one plant back there that's just coming on, and they didn't touch this one, but they devastated these. There was some going down all the way through there, and not only that, they pulled them up. They're pulled up. So I'm going to take plants off of these and get them in the water, replant the ones that are sticking out of the ground. They've had nice water. It was raining yesterday, so I didn't come out here yesterday because I was a little upset, as you can imagine, because it's time for these guys to go in the ground to start growing sweet potatoes. So it's not as bad as I thought it would be, but it's still bad enough. I've called Farmer Brown, and their family does have slips, and we're going to try to get together on the types that I have, because all the types that I have came from them anyway. I just multiplied them out for a few years and have always had enough. But always have a friend. Give them away if you have to, so they'll have slips too in case you have a disaster, because anything can happen. So I'm going to show you the garden more tomorrow. I've got to weed it so you can see what's the bad things that are going on in that. Part of it is goat damage, and there are other things going on too. Neighbors, I guess you could tell by the title of this video that this is the worst garden I have ever had. And I'm going to tell you 4 reasons why this happened, and that it could happen to anybody. Well, some of it could, and some of it is just couldn't be helped. So I'm standing here in the shade, and behind me under the trees is the cows, and it's not their fault. So I want to make that very clear, and I will put up a video card that will direct you to the video that explains what happened to the cows. Anyway, the cows were displaced. So the cows right now are in my goat pasture. We have an 1.5 acres designated for the goats for the summertime, And well, actually, probably 10 months out of the year they're in this pasture, and they're rotationally grazed to keep the parasites away. Well, the cows are in it this year, and they are very quickly getting moved very soon, within the next few weeks. Video next week about the new fencing for the cows. But right now the goats are displaced. So some of the devastation I'm going to show you is because of the goats got in the garden. And they can destroy a garden in a very little bit of time. The other reason the garden didn't get off to a good start is that I put the garden on the side of the garden where the chickens did not get to range. I usually put the chickens on the garden all winter. They didn't get moved as much because of some of the devastation that was going on and different things. So this side of the garden was not fertilized quite as well as it should have. And I'd already planned not to grow as big a garden. It went from 20 rows plus to just 13. So the 13 rows are not looking good. So we've had goat damage. They are in a more unfertilized soil. The other thing that I did not do, knowing they were going to be in soil that wasn't as good, I did not make my compost tea. I'm going to be making it for this video, but it takes 4 weeks to make. So it's getting made, so the garden is still way behind. And lastly is I have been putting my focus helping my daughter. And that's the main thing, is because things get away in the garden when you're not watching it every day. They get away from you if you don't pay attention, real strict attention to it. And I already knew this. I already knew the garden wasn't going to be the greatest because my focus is on my daughter. Family is more important. Even though times are hard and we know we need to be growing more food, I have food. I have stuff left over from last year. And that's the other reason why I wasn't too worried that I wasn't going to be growing as much. But the focus can't always be on the garden. You may have sickness. You may have a drought. You might not have the land to grow a big garden. And those are all okay. That's where your faith comes in. Plant a seed for next year. As a matter of fact, I do terrible on fall gardens. I have never grown a fall garden. Well, guess what? The cows are going to be out of here. The goats are going to be in their right place, and I'm going to grow a fall garden. Now, my might miserably fail, but that's okay. I'm going to try. I've never really had a lot of time to do that, and this year, see, I'm not homeschooling anymore. I might be homeschooling a young man coming up, but we've not started yet. And I'll have time in the fall. Usually fall is a big homeschooling time for us. So this year I'm going to put that time on the garden, the fall garden, because these guys in the background are going to be where they're supposed to. But right there, if she's in camera shot, I'm going to get oh, you're in a tree? So let me get you out of the tree and I'm going to show you the culprit of a lot of this devastation. There she is. This is Miss Muffy. Miss Muffy is the queen of all the goats. Nobody goes anywhere unless Miss Muffy's is leading them. The only reason why Miss Muffy gets the privilege of being in here with the cows, she is eating things that the cows will not eat. Goats, of course, like weeds better than they do grass, but she is in milk. So we need her milk. She is in full milk, and you can see that udder. And so that's the only reason she is out. The other goats are in their paddock. That is a terrible place to have goats in this time of year because the grass is real short in there. They're in a confined space. I'm having to feed them, which is wasting my hay. They never get hay in the summertime because they're always out. grazing in their pastures, and they will get worms. And she'll probably be getting worms just from being out here because it's not being rotated, and the grass is fairly short because of the cows. But the cows they have their round bale. We have 2 more fixing to have babies. So we're very happy that they're here with us so we can watch them. There's that's little Glimmer, and she's taking her afternoon nap. And there's Nosy. She knows she's the queen, but she also knows she's got everybody else in trouble by leading them into my garden. So anyway, the cows are out here under the tree having their afternoon nap, and we're anxiously waiting the arrival. This little heifer right here and the little heifer standing up are going to have babies. This one's next. She's already got a nice udder. This one is after her, so we'll probably get them moved before she has hers. But like I said, it's nobody's fault that the garden is not as great this year, and we're all going to work on it tomorrow. I'm going to get it weeded so I can show you better. You can see the plants. Can't see them now because of the weeds. So we will, and because of the cows, the goats have more flies on them. I never realized that. I've never had a fly problem on the goats, but because the cows are in here with them, she does have problems. So we will update you tomorrow on this. Here's the goats in their little paddock. This is their winter paddock and their barn. And they are all unhappy, voicing their protests that they are not out. And that just can't happen. So we are going to figure out some other accommodations. We got some electronic fencing that we're probably going to be putting them in. But they were so good for so long, and then in one day or one moment they just destroyed so much, so they just can't be out. Okay, yesterday you saw the devastation, of course, in the sweet potatoes. So what I'm doing today is we are going to take off these slips that we can and replant the ones that's been pulled up and give them a nice watering, because this is sawdust and it doesn't hold water very good. So I just want them to get started on their repair. And but it does look like we're going to get several plants. Now there's different ways of getting plants off your slips off your potatoes. Now what I'm trying to do is I want to get the ones that the goats have not gotten, because they're long. Just kind of hold the potato down so it doesn't come out of the ground. And see, that's a whole long one. So that's what we're doing here. Now, so I don't get these mixed up, all I do is put them in wide mouth jars of water. And they've got their name down here, because I have done poor job in the past of getting my sweet potatoes mixed up, and I've got them all individually named now, and so that's not going to happen. Here's one that the goats ate, and it's a sad looking little thing, but I am looking at least 2 plants still out of that. So and it's in its right place. It's a Nancy Hall. I got Nancy Hall down here, and I got the initials on the jar. And we of course got plenty of Puerto Ricos. They are ready to go. We could plant them tomorrow if we wanted to. But I'm going to go ahead and get more roots on them. The more roots, the better they're going to do. The better their little feet will settle down into the mud that we're going to plant them in. Okay, I'm going to show you what I'm doing. I hope it's not blurry on the camera. Okay, this is the slip that I pulled off the potato. You can see where it came off the potato. And you can see that it's already got a root. Now you can put this whole thing in the ground and it's going to grow sweet potatoes. You can put this whole thing in the water and it'll grow more roots. But what I'm going to do is each little parting where there's a leaf, there is a little nodule right there, right there, right there. Those will all be roots. So last year you could do this with just about every leaf, and that's what I did. And Mr. Joey said he'd rather have several leaves on there with the roots. And I agreed with him. They grew, they were fine, but they didn't grow as fast. They weren't as strong. So with this plant, there's roots here and roots here. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that. So it's got two places where roots are going to come up. And this one right here has been eaten by the goats. So I'm just going to leave it all together for one. Let's look at one more. And here's a great example. Let's see if you can see it. Here's a great example. See the roots? See, everywhere there's a leaf, there's a root. And that one leaf will grow a plant. But we're going to make sure we got 2 or more leaves per root. So I am going to make sure this one has 3. And this one has 4 leaves, so I know each leaf has a root, and it's already got one sticking out. So these will just simply go into the water and grow through the week and just get a whole bunch more roots, which will make the plant a whole lot stronger. The good thing is I was able to get just a few slips off of all the varieties. Puerto Ricos, Murawskis, Tennessee Red, Nancy Hall, and Covington. But not much on the Covington, Tennessee Red, and Murawskis. So that's okay. We're going to try to get some slips from Farmer Brown and just continue to grow the slips that we don't have. So I'm going to take you out there and show you what I did. Got them all covered back up, put back in the ground. But what I did find is on this variety down here, Murawskis, you can see the leaves there in the back, but right in front of that is a rotten potato, and the snails, I was wondering what is all over that. The snails have got them. So there is a few of my potatoes that I put for seed potatoes that's been eaten by snails. So not only have they been attacked by the goats, of course, but the ones that's not coming up, when I checked them out underneath, they had been gotten by snails. So it wasn't just one thing, it's 2 things. Big attack, but it looks better, and they're going to bounce back, and the ones that are growing slips will continue to grow slips. So it's just a waiting game now. Here's the garden and all the different things going wrong in here. And of course the number one things is, here's the corn. They went and took the top off of each one. I'm going to watch it till next week, but I don't think they messed up the whole stalk. I have plenty of time to grow more corn, so that's not a big deal. So we'll just replant corn. These were old seeds anyway. Still hadn't got a lot of squash coming up. The poor beans have not only been attacked by the goats, they have bug damage. So I will get the diatomaceous earth out. The cucumbers, however, are going beautifully. They didn't get past, yes they did, because they got all the way over there to the sweet potatoes, but they didn't bother anything in here. And as far as the soil goes, the tomatoes. Worst, ugliest tomatoes I've ever had this time of year. And just today I got the Epsom salts around some of these. I ran out. I gotta get some in the morning. But these I did last week, and they're starting to come out of it a little bit. That one looks terrible, but I did do a heavy pruning on them. And they are looking better, but they still look terrible for this time of year. So, like I said, it was a combination of things. Goats, where everything was planted in the bad side of the garden. Not enough nutrition under these tomatoes. What we say around here, they just need some more groceries. The peppers are kind of like the tomatoes, not quite as bad. They're getting closer up to where the garden is more fertile. Neglect and all those other things. So we're just gonna keep working on it and get these beans some protection. Get these. I don't have my composted tea done for the tomatoes yet, so I'm going to go try to find something organic for them, just to give them a little kickstart, and then I will still do the composted tea. So that's it. Just everything is kind of disheartening when you come out, and we've been working. We got the weeds out because the weeds were so big you couldn't see the plants. So the weeds are gone, and that's good. And the row of these are just little fun plants. They're the little okra. And they're pink okra. They just don't grow like our normal okra around here. So some of them, they're doing okay. They're just doing okay. And then we got weeds and flowers. So that's it. That's the devastation in the garden. Not giving up. And like here in between the little okra plants, I'm going to plant flowers. And we'll replant corn. We still got plenty of time to replant beans too. I still got plenty of beans, so if these don't make it, I will go ahead and do some more. So even though this is devastation, I still want to be an encourager, because even it doesn't matter if you're growing a few plants on your porch, bugs will get into it and destroy them. And if you got acres and acres of plants, like the whole half of my garden got killed one time because of hay that was polluted with grazon, the most wicked stuff there is. So let's not get discouraged. Let's encourage one another. Let's do what we can, and the Lord will provide the rest. We love you guys, and blessings to you all. This morning we're going to make our compost tea, and what you're looking at in front of you is comfrey, and we got some already blooming over here. It's got beautiful purple blooms, and comfrey will spread. There's another batch over there I did not plant, and sometimes you just got to trim it back anyway to keep it under control. And I've got some little strawberries over here. They have the pink blossoms. That's the only reason why I got them, because I like pink. But they're overtaking right there. So we're going to trim these back. I got my old weed buckets. Guys, don't go steal your wife's or your husband's good buckets. This is a compost tea. It's going to be stinky, smelling, and rotting for 4 weeks. So even though I didn't get it done in time for right now, it will be done in 4 weeks, and the tomatoes are going to need it again in 4 weeks anyway. So you can tell these are well used, they're already stained, and just don't go use anybody's good bucket. And they got to be covered. So if you don't have a lid, you can put anything on top of them that you want to. And covering them is just so it won't rain in them and overflow while they're composting. Now this recipe is very complicated, and if you don't get it right, it's going to mess up. So I want you to watch this. Okay, there it is. Here's the recipe. Comfrey, however much you can get, at least. Try to get at least 3/4 of a bucket. Fill up your bucket. Put on the lid. Okay, did you get that? And let me know if you need me to write the recipe down in the comments for you. So let's do this other one. So here it is for the ones that didn't get it the first time. Comfrey, as much as you can get. Fill up your bucket with water. Lid, 4 weeks.